Happy New Year. I hope everybody had a safe night last night, had a good time. I had a quiet New Year's Eve myself. We decided to stay in. The weather was bad down here. It was storming outside. And plus, I don't really like to go out on New Year's Eve anyway. It's it's amateur night to me. It's a night for young college kids. There's just too much that can go wrong, so I tend to leave New Year's Eve alone. We just stayed in. So I hope you guys had a good time last night. We're now into 2021. We're coming off one of the most difficult years in a lot of people's lives. Politicians and major cities across the country have ruined a lot of people's lives because of their overreaction to the COVID. A lot of businesses have closed down permanently. Restaurants have closed down. A lot of people are out of work. My friends in San Francisco, they texted me the other day and they told me that the state of California has decided to go into an indefinite lockdown. They don't know when they're going to open back up. So the problems in 2020 for some people are starting to carry over into 2021. Now, in the world of sports, no league had a tougher year in 2020 than the NBA. And it wasn't because of the COVID postponing the regular season and the playoffs, forcing the league to resume the season down in Orlando in the bubble. That wasn't the main culprit. By the time the NBA resumed play in August, we had been without sports in this country for nearly 6 months. Supposedly, people were clamoring for the return of the NBA. People were supposedly clamoring for the return of sports. Anything to distract us from the politicians ruining our lives, ruining the country. People clamoring for sports, that likely was the case. That likely was true. There were a lot of us who were looking forward to the return of the NBA. However, the blame for the NBA's tough year wasn't the fault of something going on outside of the league. It came from inside. It was internal. LeBron James led the league down the path of woke politics. And NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, he signed off on it. He endorsed it. We were beaten over the head with woke politics during NBA broadcasts last summer. They had social justice messages on the court, on the back of the players' jerseys. PSAs were aired during games. Hell, we had playoff games postponed because the players were protesting. Now, simply put, 2020 was a self-imposed disaster for the NBA. All those clamoring for the NBA to return, they tuned out in droves. Ratings for the NBA playoffs were embarrassing. The NBA Finals, which featured LeBron James, the league's biggest superstar, a global superstar, and the Lakers, the league's most popular franchise. Ratings for the NBA Finals were disastrous. Overall, they were down nearly 50%. It was one of the least watched finals in the history of the league. I thought it was going to be difficult for the NBA to bounce back from everything that happened last summer. People were angry. People were pissed off with the NBA. We covered the NBA going woke extensively here on the channel. And you guys, every time I put up a video, you guys lit up the comment section with how angry you were with the NBA and its players. Now, I knew the league would bounce back eventually, but I didn't expect it to happen this quickly. The ratings have come in for opening week of the NBA season, and the numbers were shocking. The season officially began on December 22nd, but the unofficial start date was Christmas Day. Christmas Day every year is the unofficial start of the NBA regular season. Biggest day of the year for the league, at least in terms of the regular season. Things were different going into Christmas Day this year. For one, you had the public backlash from last summer. You had to wonder if that backlash was going to carry over and people would continue to tune out of the NBA. And two, the league had direct competition this year on Christmas from the NFL. The NFL broadcast Viking Saints at 3:30 that afternoon. Once the ratings came in, I thought it was going to be another black eye for the NBA. But to my surprise, these were the best numbers the NBA has seen in years. In some cases, 15 plus years. Fans watched 81.5 million hours of live games on ABC, ESPN, TNT, opening week of the season. That is an increase of 95% over 2019. Zion Williamson is proving that he can be the next mainstream level superstar for this league. Possibly take over the spot of LeBron James once LeBron retires. Zion and the Pelicans played the Heat Christmas morning, usually one of the least watched games of the day. Zion's proving he is a major draw. 3.5 million people tuned in to watch Pelicans Heat. Clippers Nuggets, the late night game on ESPN, was up 21%. The NBA's always been strong on social media. The league does an outstanding job promoting itself on social media. But the social media numbers, they also saw huge increases over last season. They saw a 36% increase in video views, a 279% increase in minutes watched. On YouTube, the 2020 opening week was the most watched week in the 15-year history of the NBA on YouTube. In case you haven't gotten the point, the opening week of the NBA season was a resounding success. But why? Why? I mean, like I said earlier, you would think with all of the negative PR, it seemed for months, anytime you heard something about the NBA, it was negative. You would think with a minimum of half the audience being tired of woke politics, you'd think the NBA would continue to struggle going into this season. There's a couple of reasons why I think we saw big increases in NBA viewership. One, America's a forgiving country. Depending on the circumstances, a simple "I'm sorry" can go a long way in this country. We tend to not stay angry very long. We tend to not hold grudges. Actually, we tend to forget things pretty easily. Adam Silver did an interview with Rachel Nichols back in October during the NBA Finals, and he basically admitted that the league had made a mistake with the woke politics. Now, he gave the politically correct answer of saying that the NBA stands with social justice and racial equality. Then Adam Silver said that that type of messaging needs to be left off the court. Adam Silver was essentially saying, in the nicest way possible, we aren't going to have woke politics in our league next season. He even admitted that what the NBA had done with promoting social justice politics was wildly unpopular. And even fans who may support the cause didn't support promoting it during NBA games. Silver said fans tune in to watch NBA basketball, not politics. Clearly, many fans listened to Adam Silver because they tuned back in last week during the opening of the regular season. And to the NBA's credit, they have completely removed the politics from the game. Black Lives Matter, no longer on the court. The players return to having their last names on the back of their jerseys instead of some ridiculous social justice message. We aren't being bombarded with PSAs during games. The broadcasters aren't talking about Breonna Taylor while Kevin Durant is posting up for a three-pointer. So far, it has been back to normal for the NBA. Now, has everyone forgiven them? No, clearly not, but it appears that a lot of people have forgiven them. They've let bygones be bygones. You give people time to get out of their emotions, let things temper down a bit, they tend to let their anger go. And that's what we're seeing so far with the NBA, and that's part of the reason we saw massive increases in viewership last week. But there's another reason too, and it has to do with the scheduling. The regular season typically begins in October. This year, it tipped off the week of Christmas. I believe this had a lot to do with the increase in viewership. In terms of total hours viewed across all platforms, 2020 was the most watched opening week since the 2011 season. Now, you know what 2011 and 2020 have in common? Both seasons began during Christmas. Opening week 2011 was delayed due to the player lockout. And of course, this season was delayed because last season didn't end until October instead of June. In my opinion, the NBA should start on Christmas Day every year. The league starting in October poses a couple of problems. You have the NFL and college football in full swing. Football trumps everything in this country. With the NFL and college football going on, the NBA receives a whole lot less attention when they start in October. Now, what else happens in October? The World Series. Although Major League Baseball is far less popular now than it was 20, 25 years ago, the World Series is still a pretty big event. It's much bigger than the start of the NBA regular season. And the way the NBA has structured this season is perfect. Typically, the regular season is closing out in March and the beginning of April. What do we have going on in March? March Madness. So the playoff chase in the NBA takes a backseat to college basketball. This year, the playoff chase will be going down in April into the middle of May. The NBA playoffs don't begin until May 22nd, which means the NBA Finals will be played in late July. The playoffs are going to go unopposed. No one gives a damn about the regular season in Major League Baseball, so the NBA is going to go unopposed. The finals are going to wrap up around July 22nd, right before the preseason begins in the NFL. It is the perfect setup for the NBA. This is the way the season should be structured going forward. There's no need for 82 games. There is no need to start the regular season in October. Play a 70, 72 game regular season, run the playoffs from late May to late July. Now, we'll see if the league can carry the momentum from opening week throughout the rest of the season. They have the potential. Stars are spread out across the league. Zion Williamson is emerging. He's emerging into a superstar. We have the James Harden saga going down in Houston. LeBron chasing his 5th ring. Giannis staying in Milwaukee. There's a lot of good stories right now going around in the NBA. Now, hopefully, the league and the players learned a lesson last summer. I mean, they're not stupid. They saw the decrease in ratings. They know that a lot of people were turned off by the woke politics and social justice garbage last year. If they can stay committed to staying out of politics, if the players can keep their political opinions to themselves and off the court too, then we could see a resurgence this year in the NBA. Now, we'll see if they can continue to not be political. We'll definitely monitor it all season right here on the channel. All right, that's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Have you forgiven the NBA? Are you guys watching the NBA this year? Or are you still pissed off with everything that happened last summer? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Best way to contact me is by email at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.